old. I wanted to do a talk on some things that have come up recently. I've been obnoxious at the dinner table, lunch table, 'cause I'm excitable. But it gave me some insight into the meaning of the transition that I went through from Pittsburgh to Seattle, from being a Pirates fan, a Clemente fan, a Mazeroski fan, and being an Ichiro fan, an Edgar Martinez fan, a Brett Boone fan, the gentleman of baseball. And I think that it has a lot to do with what engulfed me as the cultural norm in the respective locations of Pittsburgh and Seattle. Keeping in mind that I was young in Pittsburgh, and I was surrounded by the children and families of the Jewish Holocaust survivor community. Used to see the tattoos and have contact with the professionals who had the tattoos and hear the stories and read the books. I've read extensively Bruno Bettelheim, Simon Wiesenthal, Chaim Weitzman. There were a lot of people. I publicly debated one of the David Wecht, I believe it was, judge in the area. I came to the attention of Judge Kaplan, Judge Friedman, and the special attentions of the Wattenmakers. So I know quite a bit about the cruelty of the Israeli-American side of the aisle, because they were nothing if not very peculiar towards me. In Seattle, I was in the Chinatown International District in Ichiro Suzuki's rookie year. So I accumulated a spectacular collection of anecdotes about the Japanese community, friendships, gestures, things I learned from movies and books. I studied hard in past time, um, encountering my emotions in cultural differences. And of course, there was the collision between the company that was being kept between Israel and Japan with regard to Yoko Ono and Midori. Now, it's clear that I'm a discredit to Ringo Starr, and he's disastrously inclined towards me. He produced a girl who went undercover, who I believe loved me, and believes that his credibility is still reputable. When he claims that I'm mistaken about the circumstances surrounding the myth mongered by these sides of the aisle about John Lennon, I had nothing to do with no John Lennon. And that's plain and simple. But I did get sufficiently pigeonholed by the Japanese representatives of the meaner, you say fairer sex, but it's more like the meaner sex in Japan. Maybe not, I'm not challenging for a smackdown who can be meaner, Japanese men or Japanese women, which of course is how UW Dialectical is going to read that remark, because they're criminally psychotic for it too. Basically, we're dealing with Bobby Kennedy's syndicate now. All this stuff is his attempt to justify feuds as Hollywood road shows. Now, my girlfriend wants me back. So she's just a kid. She doesn't understand that her poetry is more valuable than my paintings. I'm belabored as an old person who probably never enjoyed the graces of a moment with her in reality. I'm determined to convince her to understand that her appreciation of poetry is a more powerful representative of human culture because I love poetry more than I love painting. I'd like to explain that a little bit. It's stubborn mentality. And my poetry is mediocre in the way that some of Mobasha's poetry is gracefully mediocre. It just occupies a place, a statement. It's a place mark in the book of time. And that's all I want it to be. I'm not disparaging painting. Everybody knows I love paintings. Dying to hear from my sister. She's going to write to me about a painting that one of my comrades here at the assisted living mentioned. And I promised to get some feedback about. And it's exciting. It's exciting to hear a discussion about painting. It's the desire to understand that leads me to talk about the Holocaust survivor community and spellbinding Japanese culture in Seattle. Both of them have spells. They're both spellbinding cultures. But it's not something that you can easily conjure on order because it goes into the deeps of your metaphysical entity. And to be honest, I don't feel it's really there right now for me to discuss those things. But I think that if you were to look at the situation, not the klepto redundancy of the Democratic Party's power lobby and things are pulling off and working wise regarding show businesses, land stake, and this foolishness. I mean, when I was in Pittsburgh, I was simply arguing for a good neighbor policy. Where's the love in all of this rotten, stinking Reaganism? And they were laughing about dragging me through glass. Ha ha ha, funny. And Seattle is like, I wasn't bothering anybody. I don't really understand why they made a mission of castrating me. It's a weird thing to do. They disallowed me to have children. And they have this pomp and circumstances story. Now you know that the real love is marriage and stuff and having children. They didn't give me a choice in what they did. So stop making up this idea that somehow it was Jimmy Carrey's making these choices, because it wasn't. They didn't give me a choice. They weren't about to allow me to have children. They deafened me, used me and discarded me, and then made me a story for their pleasure and recreation. That's just the simple truth of the matter. And you're supposed to despise me as an object enough to cheer the itinerary of the panopticon that they're building. And they're talking about killing half of the people on Earth. You don't have to kill half the people on Earth. You just have to be patient because civilized behavior will slowly assimilate people into the growth practices that are necessary to attain balance. If they weren't so fiendishly short sighted, they wouldn't be driven to these Elon Musk theorems, operating behind the scenes, get rushed and invade Dawn, Bathview, and say, high five and Ellen, which is just what's going on. It comes out every now and then. It's not my fault. So, what I want to propose to say to my girlfriend, who I love you, is that if I paint by accident in the cold way that I love to paint, my apologies, because I know it's taboo in Islam. But I love you. And my poetry shows that with a greater importance to me personally. I don't know what else I can say because my mind is just not anywhere but trying to get acquainted with my fellow assisted living seniors. They're all really wonderful people. Everybody I've met here brings a smile to my face. It's a joy to be around senior citizens. And to my girlfriend, I say, you have my blessings in finding a man you have an age and marry, following your customs. Very sincerely, you have my blessings and all that you do. I love you very dearly. I don't think that supply and command will allow you to escape the dungeon of mentality that comes from the unrivaled gall of Ringo Starr. He's clearly committed to using girls like you to humiliate me because he's one track and um, consumed with his obsession. He's not making a statement about um, marital obligation. That's not what he's doing. He has no stake in that. His band was responsible for so many broken homes that it's just silly to engage him on the level of consistency. It's like Tune, Dr. Tune, the Jesus who says one thing and everybody knows he means the opposite. Tune and Ringo go way back, believe me. Just like Waters has been working with Tune for like forever on all of this. But don't get me wrong. My heart is definitely in your favor. I've seen from you reminders of what got me through the most difficult times and gave me joy in the most passionate times. I see. I'm not conferring on you any kind of obligation to make a stand, an arrogant stand for poetry. By saying you why I always felt good about doing that myself. When I call you a poetess, know that I mean most graceful compliment that I can summon.